In this Living Righteously series, we're going to be talking about paying the price. And I think this is a very important topic because the question we will be asking ourselves is what are we willing to give in order to be closer to our Father Yahuwah? And just what are we willing to give up? And what price are we willing to pay in order to get to that next level? Now, if you've been keeping updated with the Living Righteously series, then you would know that these past couple of weeks we've been talking about motivation and enduring the narrow path. And the reason that I've been focusing on this is because the following the path of Torah can be a very lonely path indeed. And it can be a very narrow path indeed. And it can be very difficult. And even scripture says that the path is narrow. But even as we continue to walk on the narrow path, and even as we continue to stay on the narrow path, we should always be striving to have that set apart relationship with our Father Yahuwah. And we should continue to strive to not only get in his word, but also to continue to keep on the narrow path of Torah and to continue to seek him more and more every single day, not just on the Shabbat, but all the time indeed. And for those of you who are new to this and may be wondering, well, what is the Torah and what are you talking about? I'm going to explain more in just a second, as well as tell you and share with you more of my testimony and how Yahuwah has continued to help me endure on the narrow walk. But I'm also going to be sharing more of my testimony of how I've been able to endure. Not only that, but also what I've had to give up and the price I've had to pay in order to continue to keep onto the narrow path and follow Torah and continue to follow the righteous laws, statutes, and commandments of my Father. But I have to tell you that it is a price that you have to pay and that you do have to give up a lot if you really want to get closer to the Father. And I'm just going to share some of the things that I've had to give up too. And you may have already seen it in some of my earlier videos, but I will definitely reiterate it here. And like I said, that is the question that we will be tackling today is what is the price that we are willing to pay in order to get closer to our Father Yahuwah? What are we willing to sacrifice in order to maintain that narrow walk? What are we willing to sacrifice in order to continue onto the path of the law, statutes, and commandments? And for those of us who are seeking the truth and want to have that set apart relationship with our Father and want to grow closer to our Father Yahuwah, as well as learn about his laws, statutes, and commandments, well, hopefully this can give you some motivation and inspiration on your spiritual walk and journey. And like I said, I don't know where you are on that spiritual walk and journey, but hopefully my testimony can help you along the way as you continue to seek our Father and as you continue to start to learn the law, statutes, and commandments and continue to learn about the Shabbats and the feast days as well as the dietary law, but also all of the others that are written in the first 5 books of the Bible, what you may commonly know as Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And I'll be sure to leave some helpful links below to help you on your journey into truth. But now I would like to go over more of my testimony and some of the things that I've had to give up. And like I said, for those of you who have seen my earlier videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you may know of my testimony, but how I really came into this truth. The Father Yahuwah started waking me up to this truth. But as he started to wake me up to this truth, I started to realize more and more that if I wanted to get closer to the Father, I had to get rid of some things in my life. There were some things that were keeping me back, and there were some things that I was holding on to and that I was spiritually hoarding, and that was keeping me away from getting closer to the Father. Now, for example, in my life specifically, I myself was a writer, and I talked about this in my earlier videos, but I have in fact written not only children's books, but I was also a screenwriter as well. I've written many scripts and many different plays as well as many different musicals, but I mostly specialize in children's books where I've written children's books and fantasy books and mainly books that were long novels. That is what I specialized was novel writing. But I started to realize as I've grown older is that many of my writings, they were holding me back from getting closer to the Father, and they were holding me back from the real purpose that the Father had for my life. Now, before I really didn't know that purpose and I had no idea that I would be on YouTube, but once the Father started to reveal to me his purpose in my life and what he wanted me to do, that is when I had to realize that I had to give up something that I really loved, that my flesh really loved, and that something was in fact my old writings. And so that is why I've thrown out all of my old writings and even writings from childhood. And I'm talking writings from when I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, because that is how long that I've been writing books and children's books specifically specifically. But in order for me to get closer to my father, I really had to throw all of those writings out. And yes, I'm talking about all of them. I had to throw out all of the original manuscripts. I had to throw out all of the copies that I've written. I've had to throw them all out because I knew that is what it took for me personally to get closer to the Father Yahuwah. That is what I had to do if I wanted to get closer. But that's not all I had to do. Not only did I have to get rid of all of my writings, I had to give up certain TV shows. I've had to get rid of my TV. In fact, right now, I hardly even watch TV anymore because I spend that time and devote that time to studying and getting into the Word and Scripture, as well as research too. But I had to give up certain TV programs. I had to give up certain TV shows. I had to give up certain music as well because I was definitely in tune to certain music and certain genres of music. But I had to realize that if I wanted to get closer to my Father, well, I needed to find some set apart music that really worshiped and adored our Father. And I'm going to even tell you some of the music later on in the video that can help you on your spiritual walk and journey. But there were definitely certain music and certain songs that I definitely had to get rid of, as well as even old friends and family who didn't agree with this walk and who didn't agree with Torah. I also had to get rid of them as well because I found out that they were holding me back from getting closer to the Father as well. Of course, not all of them, but definitely some of them, not to mention my writings, like I talked about earlier. But see, what I've learned is that it was definitely worth it. And I'm a witness to this, and I'm a living witness to this, is when you start getting closer to the Father, well, in order to do that, you do have to get rid of things that are holding you back or things that you're spiritually hoarding. And for me, the things that I was spiritually hoarding was, of course, my writings and even certain music. But I found out that once I got rid of those things, and once I got rid of the things that was holding me back, then I was able to get closer to the Father, and then was the Father Yahuwah able to really work in my life. And that's when I started to see the increase of the Father, and that's when I got closer and really had a set apart relationship with the Father. Now, of course, I'm still at the beginning. I still have a long way to go, but I just realized in my life that that is what I had to do in order to get even closer. And maybe you're going through the same things too. Maybe you're enduring the same things too, because deep down in your heart and deep down, you know that you want to get closer to the Father too. You know you want to have more of a relationship with your Father Yahuwah as well. But deep down, you know that you have to get rid of some things in your life too that's holding you back as well. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's your old friends that are holding you back. Maybe it's partying and clubbing. Maybe it's an old job of yours that you don't like anymore. Or maybe it's something that is just holding you back and keeping you back from following Torah as well as following our Father Yahuwah. Like I said, I don't know what that is. I don't know your spiritual walk and journey right now, but I do know this. I do know that there's a reason that you're listening to this, and I also know that our Father has a real plan and purpose for your life. And like I said, our Father wants to have that set apart relationship with you. Our Father wants to get closer to you, but what you have to do is you have to allow Him to get closer to you if you already haven't. But in order for us to do that, we cannot be like the rest of the world. You know, scripture says to be ye separate for a reason. And scripture talks about being separate and learning not the way of the heathen. And our Father tells us that all the time. We really have to be set apart, and we really cannot be like the rest of the world, nor can we be partaking in the ways of the rest of the world if we want to get closer to our Father, because scripture also says that we cannot be lukewarm. We are either hot or cold for our Father. And see, when we think about it that way, and when we start to really see the love of our Father and how much our Father has done for us, and like I said, I don't know your spiritual walk and journey right now, but as a witness for myself, the Father has done so much for me. When I really start to see it that way and really look at it from that lens, then not only can I appreciate really what my Father has done for me, but also really starting to delight in the ways of my Father and delighting in the law of my Father and delighting in what the Father wants and expects of me, rather than doing my own thing and rather than doing and being of the world and doing the ways of the world. And I hope this is making sense, because like I said, the main question we should be wondering today is, how far are we willing to go in order to really have that set apart relationship with our Father? How far are we willing to go? How much are we willing to sacrifice, and how much are we willing to give up? And that is a question that I pose not only just for you, but also for myself as well, because there's still so much for me that I'm willing to give up too, and that I still need to give up. But that's the question we need to be asking ourselves, and that is the central question that we really need to keep ingrained in our heart. And I know it can be a very difficult path indeed, not just learning about the narrow path, but also walking on the narrow path, as well as enduring the narrow path and starting to learn about the laws, statutes, and commandments, but not just being hearers of the word, but also being doers of the word. And I know it can be very difficult indeed, but hopefully these videos are giving you the motivation and the inspiration that you need to keep going, and hopefully it's cheering you on. And that's what I want to do too, is to be a resource to cheer you on and to let you know that you can do it, and nothing is too hard for our Father. So while it may seem tough and while it may seem difficult, just keep going, and just know that our Father has a plan, and just know that He will never leave you or forsake you. But remember, you have to also do your part too. And what are you willing to give in order to be closer to our Father? Because in order to get closer, these were some of the things that I had to do in order to get closer, which is to give up my entire writings, even things that I've kept since I was a child. But guess what? It was definitely worth it, and I am a witness too. And that is why I'm here in Deuteronomy, or Dabarim chapter 6, and we're going to be reading from the Shema, or the Shema, which is verses 4 through 9, in order to help you on your spiritual walk and journey, and to just give you motivation and encouragement, and to let you know that you can do it. And that's why we're here, and we're going to be reading from verses 4 through 9. And like I said, because this is a truth network, we use the restored, set apart Hebrew names for our Father Yahuwah and His true Son Yahusha. So it says in verses 4, "Hear, O Yashra Aller Israel, Yahuwah our Elohim," another way to pronounce Elohim is Allahim, "is one. And thou shalt love Yahuwah thy Allahim with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates." And so the reason I wanted to go over this with you is because when you start to love Yahuwah with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might, you start to realize and see that it starts to become easier and easier to shed away all the things that were keeping you back, and all the things that were holding you back from getting closer to our Father. Because did you know that certain TV shows, and when you look at certain TV shows, especially those reality shows and everything, they could allow demons into your life? Did you know that? But when you learn how to fully honor the Shabbat and keep it set apart, as well as fully to love our Father Yahuwah, and when you start to admire Him, and when you start to stand in awe of Him, then it's easier and easier and easier to let things go. Now, I know it can be tough at first, but when you really start to do it and really start to make that goal and strive to have that set apart relationship, then you start to see just how free you really are, because Yahuwah is salvation, and through Him will you find true liberation. And this is just speaking for myself, but ever since I have gotten rid of all of my writings, and I did this about 4 months ago, but ever since I've done that, I have felt even more free after reading some of the old things in my life that I was once holding onto and grasping onto because of my flesh. But now I feel even freer, and I feel even stronger, and I feel even more confident in getting even closer to my Father. And this is just, of course, speaking for myself ever since I've done that 4 months ago. Now, yes, it was a process for me, and yes, it was tough, it was difficult. I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, it was easy, and oh, it just took one little step, and that, oh, after I did it, everything was hunky-dory. Oh no, it was very difficult. But trust me when I say this, and I'm a witness and a living testimony to this, once you start to rid some of the things in your life that was once holding you back, then you start to see really the love of our Father, and you really start to have that set apart relationship with our Father. Now, I've gone over this scripture as well, Mishlai, or Proverbs chapter 11, in my spiritual hoarding video, which I will link below. And I'm just going to read verses 1 through 2 for today. And it says, "A false balance is abomination to Yahuwah, but a just weight is His delight." So we see when there's a just weight in your life, that is how He delights in it. And it says, "When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom." And that is something that I'm still learning myself too, is really balancing out not only my time, but also getting more into the word, getting more into the scriptures, learning more of the word and what the word really says, and learning more about our Father through the word. And rather than spending that time into worldly things, really getting into the word and really, like I said, having that set apart relationship with our Father. And like I said, that's something I myself am still learning even to this day and still doing. But like I said, it is very helpful and freeing once you really start to do that. Now, one precept that you will find from Proverbs chapter 11 that talks about just balances and just weights is actually from the Torah, because we're here in Vayikra or Leviticus in chapter 19, and we're going to be reading from verses 35 to 37, which you will see here as well in the Torah too, because it says, "Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin shall ye have. I am Yahuwah your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes and all my judgments and do them. I am Yahuwah." And we know too that our Father is just as he says he is. We know he is righteous and just too. And so what we should be striving to do, myself included, is to be just and righteous too, but also to really have just balances in our life too, and really setting apart that time and that set apart time to our Father throughout the day. And yes, I know life can be tough. I know it can be tough with jobs and with school and with family and everything, but really setting apart that time for our Father, just as he sets apart his time for us as well. And so if you're looking to have a set apart relationship with our Father, and if you're looking to get even closer to the Father and even learn more about the Hebrew, and if you're tired of all those watered down translations and versions, well then the Sefer is just for you. Because what the Sefer is that it's a comprehensive restoration of sacred scripture in the English language. Now what's good about the Sefer is that it restores the set apart Hebrew name for our Father Yahuwah, as well as our Messiah Yahusha, not to mention Hebrew, and you get equipped with the Hebrew. But not only does it have all that and sets forth the transliteration, but it also restores the Aleph Tav 9,837 times. It also includes other books that were previously canonized as scripture that were taken out. So it restores books such as Enoch and Jubilees and others as well. It also includes different charts and maps that can help you on your spiritual walk and journey, not to mention even a chart of the modern and Paleo Hebrew alphabet or alphabet that provides the meaning of each letter to help you on your journey if you're wanting to learn Hebrew and really learn and get equipped with the Hebrew as well. Now, although it's on the pricey side, if you put in the coupon code and type in the coupon code Truth Unveiled, so that coupon code is just Truth Unveiled with no 777. If you put in the coupon code Truth Unveiled, you will receive 10% off your purchase, and I will make sure to leave all of the helpful information in the description box below so it can help you on your spiritual walk and journey into truth. Now, if you're looking for more Torah-oriented resources that can help you out, as well as resources regarding the name of our Father Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha, and more discipling resources, well, this website Yahuwah Kingdom can definitely help you out. Now, if you're even looking for more resources, definitely contact me and email me and let me know that you're looking for more resources. And what you can also do is you can go to the playlist of my YouTube channel, and you can even click on the resources, and you can check out some of the videos that'll give you even more resources, not just for your spiritual walk and journey, but also with music and other things that can help you, as well as different websites and links that can help you with fellowshipping with others as well. And if you would like more music and motivation for your spiritual walk and journey, then I highly recommend Hadara Batya SetApartHeart.com. And what's good about this is that you can find music and set apart Yahuwah music that can help you on your spiritual walk and journey and to get closer to our Father, as well as different resources and updates that can help you as well. And you can also check out her blog too, that can also give you some scripture motivation, as well as just different motivation to help you out on your day. But hopefully this has helped you in some way. This is Truth Unveiled here saying shalom.